Hey guys, my name is Connor Moore, and I'm going to talk to you today about real world mathematic lessons, or being able to take real world examples and putting them or integrating them into our math lessons. So, I want you to think about how we learn math growing up, or how you learn math growing up. For some of you, it might have been a very pleasant and positive experience, while for others, it might have been a relatively painful, frustrating, and dreadful experience. Growing up, I learned math by being taught the concept of what we were doing, or kind of like the building blocks of that concept, and then we would do a bunch of basic practice problems. It was just constant repetition of practice problems, and we'd be assessed upon them. Students today are being taught through pouring memorization. They're going through constant practice drills, and then also they have timed assessments. I don't know why we hold such high importance on speed, but we do. For many of you teaching now or have been in the classroom, how many times have you heard a frustrated student ask, when will I ever use this? And I understand and relate to this because I was one of those students that didn't really see the significance of what we were learning, or how I was going to apply it. I remember sitting at home on the kitchen table always doing that's where I always do my math homework, and I'd always sit there so frustrated saying, like, when am I going to use this? How do I apply this? Like, show me an example. And it was always frustrating because I didn't see the correlation. Um, as a student, it is hard for us to see how we would use math, but math is an everyday application that we use without even knowing. Um, Math helps us build and fix items around the house. I mean, I don't know how many of you have ever just fixed something around the house, but without even knowing, sometimes we're using basic math. When we're cooking, we're using math to measure and read the time. Um, we use math to manage our time wisely, and simply we use math to help save money or add money when we go to the grocery store or make a purchase. Sometimes just simple math of just saying how much change you're going to get. Um, we as educators should teach math so that that students learn the value of diversity. Um, see mathematics they got to see mathematics in their lives and cultural background. Students develop an underlying skill that they develop in math, like taking risks, thinking logically, and solving problems. These skills will last with them a lifetime, and they help solve self work and just real life problems. And it's also just a stepping stone for a growth mindset, just helping them grow through that failure, and trying to change, and just challenges them to grow. Um, Peggy Bookins, who is a math teacher down in Florida, she said, brain remembers stories in a way. If we have a scenario and then there is a story, and in the story there's a problem, then it changes brain in a way so brain will remember forever. So it's a really odd way to phrase it, but I think her gist of it was like, if we can take just a scenario or a problem and we can change it into a story, and help kids connected to it, the brain is going to look at it in a totally different way. Dr. Altay, who studies at a university in Turkey, he researched eighth graders and their skills when connecting math to real world, and his findings were that most of the students connected mathematics in real life with numbers, shapes, and calculations. Now, um, Dr. Edward Howe is a professor at Thompson Rivers University. He says that classroom activities should be relevant, meaningful, and connected to students' prior knowledge and experiences. Students benefit from learning experiences that are meaningful, relevant, and well connected to their own experiences. I think learning must be based on lived experiences within both formal and informal educational settings. We need to break away from traditional silos of courses and discipline and just formal school. We as educators need to lead by example and provide students with opportunities to explore and make their own discoveries that allow them to make connections to the real world. So, um, and experts agree that connecting math to the real world and helping students experience the value of math in daily life increases engagement and helps create more of a math positive culture. which I thought was a really good insight. Just being able to help students connect to math through their own experiences. I think if we do that in the classroom a lot, it's going to create a positive math experience and just a positive math classroom and environment inside there for us as teachers, and our kids are going to thrive better. Now, the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics recommends using the real world to teach students to help students think about mathematic concepts and understand the value of work they do in class. And I want to take you to the website real cool because they had a really cool website. I use this website a lot for a lot of stuff. But they have classroom resources, they have publications, standards, they have research and resources. You can get a membership, and it's really cool. It gave me a lot of different information about different ways of teaching math and different practices and strategies. And there's a lot of different articles that math teachers have written on this. So they give you a lot of great insights. So I just wanted to share that with you guys real quickly. And the National Academy of Science says that building on informal learning is a key to math understanding and achievement. So what this kind of means, instead of a lot of what we do in school is formal learning, but we can change it by using informal learning. So instead of going from formal to informal, when like with teaching change or learning how to count with money, we can act out scenarios, like have our students make like a little store and they're actually using fake money and making purchases that way, and that's how they're making that correlation. They're using hands-on experiences and real-world experiences to learn how to make change and count money. This quote actually from the book by Bowler: "For anyone who has only ever seen mathematics as a set of disconnected procedures, who then gets the opportunity to explore visual and numeric patterns, seeing and understanding connections, the experience is powerful." And I think us as teachers, we can be powerful, and we can make powerful connections with our students by exploring visuals and giving them different opportunities to discover on their own and see how it correlates to the real world, and making those connections and understanding. So instead of telling or promising our students that today's lessons are going to be important one day, why not help them apply it now? And I think that's one of the biggest things with project-based learning. I think that really helps students make those connections now and see how they're applying the skills that they're learning to strategies and practices right now. Project-based learning allows students to collaborate with peers and apply what they learn. This is a quote from one of the teachers that wrote an article. He said, "Education without action is like food without exercise." And I really like this quote because we can learn as much as we want and we can gain all this knowledge, but if we don't apply it, it's not going to be useful. Just like as in food, like we use food a lot for enjoyment and energy and everything, but if we're not exercising, we're just storing it. We're just storing all this food. We're kind of getting fat. So we're kind of getting fat with education if we're not, or we're getting fat with knowledge if we're not applying it. Without meaningful opportunities to put problem-solving skills to work, students will lose interest and they just become more frustrated. Another opportunity that you can do, or activity you can do in the classroom, could be a math wall. And I really like this idea or concept. A math wall is you have students, they bring in an item from either at home or just something they find outside of the classroom, and they have to write 3 ways that it relates or correlates to math on a note card. And then these objects form, we put them up on the wall, and these objects form what is called the class's real-world math wall. Once something is placed on the wall, the same item can't be brought in again, and this makes students think outside the box to make real-world math connections. So another strategy you could also do is you could do acting out scenarios, which is just using different ways to act out math, like the one thing I said earlier about maybe having your students actually make like a small business and they're making purchases. That could be like acting out a scenario. Integrating math into other subjects. You can integrate it into history, maybe into English, and I think that gives the students another perspective, or even just help make another connection to how how it's used out in a different way, just not in math. It's used also in English, which can open up the doors and help them understand many different things. Um, and graphing using holidays, or just graphing using stuff. Like the one example one of the teachers used was she had her students bring in candy from like Halloween, and the students made a graph based on which candies they had. Like if they had Reese's, they counted up how many Reese's they had, how many Hershey bars they had, how many Kit Kats, and then they made graphs off those candies, which I thought was a really cool idea. So, and that doesn't have to be something based on like the holidays. It could be based off sports or um, Disney movies, stuff like that. And then these are just my resources.